Coros. They're a new brand on the training watch block, and recently they contacted me to see if I'd be interested in reviewing their Apex Pro for the channel. Oh, I'll review it alright. I'll review the hell out of it. But before I get into actually going into not depth, because you're not going to get depth if you're watching it on this channel, because I am an everyday runner and I use minimal functionality for my watch. It's just what serves my purpose, and I'm going to review it on that basis because I figure 90% of people out there use the very surface stuff of technology of their watch, and that's not doing a disservice to the people that use more. But if you do want to know a lot more, then people like DC Rainmaker do fantastic, really in-depth reviews that you'd really benefit from. But before we get into any of it, let's talk about the Coros brand, what they are trying to stand for, where their niche in the market, if you like, is, where they're trying to put themselves. And I think they're really firmly trying to position themselves as an all-adventure, outdoorsy, all-terrain, exciting, ultra, push the limits style watch. That's the feel that you get when you read the website and you look at the athletes that they have under their brand as ambassadors, as sponsored athletes. For example, very recently, John Kelly, who is a Barkley Marathons finisher, and if you know anything about the Barkley Marathons, you'll know that there's been less finishers than there has been years. So that is an unbelievable ultra. But John Kelly is one of their athletes, and he recently completed the Pennine Way and then the Grand Round with one of the Coros brand watches, which is pretty exciting. And when you look at the Coros website, splattered around are windsurfers, mountaineers, orienteers, ultra athletes, adventure athletes. That's what they're going for, and they're the new kid on the block in that sense. And for that reason, they go very hard on shouting about their battery life of their watches. So that's probably the perfect place to start when it comes to this, versus, yes, this is an old Forerunner, but it still does a great job, and I'm going to compare battery. I'm going to be honest, the battery life on the Coros Apex Pro is phenomenal. It is unbelievable. I physically have been unable to kind of believe what it's been able to do, in that I got this 1 month ago. I've had this watch for 1 month. I'll charge it once, and I've exercised every other day, if not every day. We're not talking about long distances here, but I have been exercising. It is currently on 75% battery. This one, for comparison, is on 75% battery, having been charged one more time through. This has got to the point where I think it was down to 13% and still did a marathon. When I cycled next to Mary when she ran her marathon, which you'll find here, it still did a job then, and even after that I think it had 7%. So if you are an athlete that likes to do longer sessions, if you're out there just orienteering or exploring or hiking, this watch, it will not let you down, I guarantee you that, and I am very, very impressed with its battery life, and I can see real possibilities for when I want to go a lot longer. I would say it markets itself in the same region as the Garmin Phoenix range, as in that outdoorsy, orienteering, more robust way of life, rather than the triathlon and running side of Garmin, which is the Forerunners and stuff. However, it does do all of that. I will give it that. It has multi-sport function. It has a lot of functions. But by the way, I don't really use very many of the functions. So how about the user interface? If you watched the first impressions video where I unboxed it and I used it for the first time, then you will know that there were a few bits out of the box that I wasn't particularly sold on, and that is really down to the display whilst you're out training. I was trying to find that perfect face on the watch. Like this one here has 4 split screens, and it gives me the 4 things that I really like to know, which is overall time, my pace, my heart rate, and distance. I literally had to stop there and think because I couldn't even remember the 4th one. This one gives you all of that, of course it does, but it's a little bit more difficult to read. I've certainly found that whilst I've been out training with the two of these, and I wear both, this is my go-to. I am constantly looking at this one to see the time or the distance. I can't see it on this. The writing is too small. And my eyesight, by the way, I don't need glasses, I don't wear glasses. And don't comment to say I obviously do need glasses if I can't read this. I just can't see it while my arms are moving whilst I'm in motion. I would have to stop and really pay attention. Did that change over the 4 weeks? It didn't, no, and I played around with a number of different kind of display options, and every time there wasn't that option that could give me all 4 bits of information that I wanted in a readable manner. So a couple of down points from that, but again, it's, you know, it's not a massive thing. These are just the positives and negatives as I see them. And what about functionality in general? Well, let me take this off and show you this. I am really blown away by what you can do with the watch face and how easy it is. I've made mine, hang on if I get that in the way there, palm trees, colours, and that, you know, that's just the watch face, but I really like it. You can play around and make a watch face look exactly how you want it to look. So big points there for Coros, just purely, you know, plays to the vanity or aesthetic side of me that I like how it looks. But what about the functionality whilst you're out and about? Clearly you can see that it has big bezels here, so it's gone away from kind of little buttons on the side like the Garmin has and gone to bezels which twist and turn, and for the most part they look really good and they feel really easy to use. Functionally they're good, they're not fiddly. But again, what I would say with the Coros ones is, so when you're doing short and sharp sessions and hard sessions, when you use both of these, when you want to do just a 5k or just a 10k and you want to run hard, like when I was doing the virtual pancake run in Brighton, to stop a run on this watch, you have to not only try and press stop, but you have to unlock the watch first and then press stop. I'll look into whether that is something that you can take off, the lock feature, but it just, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, it adds like a couple of seconds on, and when you want a really to the second 5k or 10k, that is frustrating to someone because you can actually get the unlocking motion wrong and have to do it a couple of times, adding on vital seconds to what potentially could be a PB. So that bit, you know, was a little frustration when I'm doing things to time, not necessarily in my everyday training, and certainly not if you were going long. You wouldn't need to the second, so it wouldn't be a problem. This one, of course, you just press stop and it stops. So that's the difference in those two watches. And what about the GPS monitoring and how accurate it is? Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't really know. All I can do is, again, compare from my Garmin to my watch and the accuracy, and it's pretty similar. But there was one thing, I started my watches at exactly the same time. I would go bang bang, and I would say I've added up all of the runs that I did with both watches together. Some runs I forgot to start one or started one late, so I discounted all of those. Just the runs that I did both sets of runs exactly the same time, and quite consistently the Coros was coming up a couple of meters to 10 meters to 15 meters to whatever, to even up to 100 meters short of the Garmin at the same time. So whereas, for example, I'd be stopping the Garmin here at 5.03 kilometers, on the Coros it registered as 4.85 kilometers. And when I added it all up, all of the runs, like I say, that I've done together, then it actually, the Garmin was 69.85 kilometers and the Coros was 69.19. So that's a difference of about 600 meters, just over half a kilometer, which it doesn't sound much, but it does all add up. But the only issue is I don't know which one's the most accurate. It's really, really difficult to tell. But that's just, I'm reporting back, that is what it is. It's not a negative or a positive, it's just a difference. So what you want to be sure of is the cost worth it? Is paying for this watch worth it? And coming in at around 430 at the time of making this video, you have to be sure that this is the right watch for you. And for a little bit of reference, you have the Garmin Forerunner 945, I think is the most up-to-date Forerunner at the moment, and that's coming in at around the same price. That's about 430, and the Garmin Fenix 6 comes in at about 430-ish also, so you have those three for comparison, all about the same. The Garmin Fenix does have a Pro above that at over £500, as does the Coros has the Vertix, which is an adventure outdoors watch, probably in very much the same vein as the Fenix, coming in at 500. So have I been impressed by this watch? Yes, very, very much, and I really like the brand, and I really like what it stands for, and I really like its idea of adventure. Plus, having a new watch in the game, having a new brand, is always exciting because it drives good competition and it drives innovation and it brings prices down and it makes everything more affordable because there's trickle down. So on every level of kind of training watch that you want, there will be trickle down in terms of technology and price. I can't really complain. I think it's been a really, really solid watch. Will I change to it from Garmin? That remains to be seen, and that is nothing to do, that's no negative on this watch whatsoever. It's purely that I like Garmin. I've been using Garmin for a long time. If I was going to use something else, it would have to be so disruptive in terms of what it can do and how it can do it that it would make me sit up and go, whoa. But that's my assessment of things. That's it. The Coros Apex Pro, a really solid, good watch, a really exciting company with the right values and doing the right things. You can't go wrong. If you were looking for a different watch or your first watch, I could recommend the Coros Apex Pro or a Coros Brand all day long. They are a good brand. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not being paid to say that. I have to send this back. I didn't get it for free and get to keep it. So I am able to be honest with my reviews. And that's all it is, really. It's opinion. This is my opinion, one person's. Do a lot of research, find the right watch for you, because there are a ton of different watches at a ton of different price points for a ton of different people. That's the beauty of this industry, is it's all out there for you if you want it. Right, I am actually off out to run. Last run with this before I send it back. Have a good week, everyone. I'll see you on Sunday, where in theory I'll be Strava Crown pinching. Fingers crossed for that.